When I was first asked to beta test version 1, one of the first things I came up against was jumping hoops and jumping designs. Now, what do I mean by that? I would put a design into a hoop, and the hoop would be here, the design would be over here. And I thought, what on earth is going on? Or it could end up here somewhere, and I'd have to go scrolling to look for it. Down here. If I got it into the centre of the hoop, the whole hoop would suddenly shift. So I started reading, because just like everybody else, didn't bother reading the manual, well, mainly because there wasn't much of a manual, and what I found wasn't very clear. So I wrote in and I complained, why does my hoop jump here, there and everywhere? And I got a very long, complicated answer. Very long and very complicated. And what it boiled down to was background function had been brought to the forefront. And I wrote back and said, politely, bovine excrement. Most software automatically sets the point of origin, start and end points. Even mbird doesn't require you to put in your own start and end points, point of origins. So then I got another equally long letter explaining that because of all the different machines and all the different hoops, end users would have to put the information in. And they got the same response, bovine excrement. And then I got a very short letter from our friend, the listening ear, and he said to me, Maggie, turn off automatic centering. Go and do your own. And I thought, fine, but it still doesn't explain why the end user is expected to put these things in. And I ended up coming up with my own solution. I sent them a copy of my solution, and the person who had written the two very, very long, complicated explanations said, well, if it works for you, then continue doing what you're doing. And I wrote back and said, I shouldn't have to do workarounds. This is a background function, not a forefront function. Yours has to be the only program that asks the person to put in a point of origin, start and end points, blah blah blah. Once you pick your hoop and your machine, the program should automatically do the rest for you. Well, in V2, they've made it a little bit simpler. But it's not quite simple enough. I still think they're wrong, asking you to put in start and end points, point of origin, and the rest of it. So what do? I ignore them. And I use manual. So I'm going to close these sheets down because we don't need them. Now I did try to make this jump. I couldn't make it jump. If I didn't want it to jump, it would. I select my hoop, I select my machine, and because I've selected a Janome, you'll notice this is in the dead centre of the hoop. It's on the 0, 0 XY coordinates. Now up until the 10,000, any machine built before that by Janome, you had offset start points. After the 10,000, all machines made by Janome have a point of origin in the centre of the hoop. And when you first put your hoop on, your needle should sit dead centre over the middle of your hoop. You shouldn't really have to jog it. If it doesn't, then your dealer really needs to look at why it doesn't sit over the dead centre of the hoop. So what do? I right click on that, show hoop, manual. Set hoop centre. I tell it OK, and I click right into the centre of that digitising maze. Now, in V2, quite a few of us complained about the silly little cross that we were given. There we go. That is the centre of my hoop. Now, if I made a custom hoop, to prevent my hoop going all over the place, I would digitise in a long stitch all the way around the inside of my hoop, my stitching field. And then I'd use centre to work area. And it worked. And then I would remove this line of stitching when I was ready to send it out to my big machine. That's the way I handle automatic centering. Okay, I think we'll call that a day for this particular video, because I want to move on and look at some of the other new things that we've got in the program, because they really are worth looking at. But it's hard work trying to make a video that's less than 15 minutes long.